So, after looking at the world the way Trump seems to see it, and after stepping back and watching the global system tighten, fragment, and harden, a different question starts to form. And it's not about Ukraine, it's not about China, it's not about war or diplomacy. It's a different question. It's one that comes after all of that. If this is how the world is changing, this is the question. If this is how the world is changing, if power is hardening, alliances are straining, and instability is no longer an exception but an assumption, then what does that do inside America? Not politically, but practically. What does it do to jobs, to housing, to everyday life? What does it feel like to live inside a country that's repositioning for a more unstable world? You can see it, so we don't pretend otherwise, because people aren't imagining things. They see businesses closing, they see layoffs, they see stores emptier than they used to be, they see careers stall, they see costs rise faster than comfort. So, to present this question is not to be in denial, and it's not pretending that things are fine. The question actually isn't even whether something is happening. The question is what kind of thing it is that's happening that we're experiencing. The confusion starts with comparison. When people try to make sense of it, they instinctively reach backwards. They look for something familiar, something history shaped, something already named or that has already happened. They ask questions like, is this a downturn? Or is this a breaking point? Or is this the beginning of something catastrophic? Because that's just how us as people, as humans, orient ourselves. We look for patterns that we recognize. But something feels off, and the comparisons never quite land. So, this is why the feeling doesn't actually match the fear. And this is where the tension lives. Yes, people have lost jobs. Yes, businesses fail. Yes, the pressure is real. But it doesn't arrive like a single moment. It doesn't cascade all at once. It doesn't produce one dominant emotion. Instead, it produces many small frictions. Life still works, but it works with resistance. So, what's different this time is in the past, the story was clearer. Things broke, then they were fixed, or they collapsed, then they were rebuilt. This that we're experiencing doesn't feel like breaking, it feels like tightening. Opportunities still exist, but fewer. Paths to success still exist, but fewer. Mistakes cost more than they used to. People don't feel destroyed, they feel contained. If you research this on paper, the economy can look contradictory. Some sectors grow and some sectors shrink. Some people do well and some people fall behind. But lived experience averages differently. What people feel is less room to maneuver, less tolerance for risk, less forgiveness for error. The floor doesn't drop, the ceiling itself lowers. So work doesn't vanish overnight. Instead, the entry points shrink. Advancement slows in your career, and switching careers feels dangerous. You don't feel unemployed, you just feel stuck in place. So that's a different type of psychological weight. When it comes to housing, Housing doesn't collapse, it locks. Homes don't suddenly become cheap, they become unreachable. People stay where they are because leaving costs too much and buying costs too much as well as selling. That even costs because you might have to sell at a loss. So movement just stops altogether. And when movement stops, frustration builds quietly among the population. So this is the part where most analysis miss something. Because humans don't just need stability, they need trajectory. They need to feel that effort changes position. This moment disrupts that feeling. You can do everything right and still feel like you're treading water. That's unsettling in a way crashes aren't. So, how does this now connect to the global shift that we talked about earlier? If America is repositioning for a harder world, then internally that hardness shows up too. There's less excess, less cushion, less waste. There's more emphasis on control, resilience, and strategic sectors. And there's less emphasis on ease, experimentation, and upward drift for everyone at once. This doesn't break daily life, it just reshapes it. So the question then is, why are people reaching for dramatic language? And that's because uncertainty without collapse is uncomfortable. If things are terrible, you can grieve. If things are good, you can relax. But if things are tightening, there's no emotional script for that. So people search for names. They want a label to anchor the feeling. And every label feels slightly wrong. So this is the realization that arrives late. Eventually, a quieter thought emerges. Maybe this doesn't fit any of the old categories. Maybe it's not a repeat. Maybe it's not a cycle. Maybe it's something history hasn't finished describing yet. Because history names things after they settle. And what's happening right now in America hasn't settled yet. Only at this point do the old words even appear. People try them on, they test them, then they discard them. Not because nothing is wrong, but because the shape doesn't match. This isn't a sudden fall, and it isn't a total collapse. It isn't recovery waiting to happen either. It's a long adjustment period to new constraints. So, if you had to describe it without forcing it into history, it would sound something like this. What America is going through right now is a period where life continues but with less margin. Stability exists, but progress costs more. The system works, but no longer carries people forward automatically. That's not an ending, it's a narrowing. So, to finish off this thought process, I'm going to say this. One day, this period that everyone is living through will have a name. Analysts will argue over it, books will simplify it, and people will pretend it was obvious. But right now, we're not studying it, we're living inside it. And the discomfort people feel isn't just economic. It's the feeling of being inside a chapter of American history that hasn't been titled yet.